Doctor Who and Russell T Davies and Ncuti Gatwa have set another record for the most least viewed episode of Doctor Who. And this is cause to celebrate because people are tuning out of the propaganda that Russell T Davies is admitting that he's trying to, that he is injecting into the classic science fiction show out of the United Kingdom. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. Wrote this up over at thatparkplace.com. And indeed, viewership for the third episode, Boom, plummeted nearly 400,000. Might have actually been over 400,000 in overnight numbers. Doctor Who TV reports the third episode saw the program only bring in 2.04 million viewers in the United Kingdom when it aired on May 18th. The episode broke the previous mostly viewed episode set by the series' second episode, The Devil's Cord. That episode only brought in just 2.4 million viewers. The premiere episode, Space Babies, which debuted the same day as The Devil's Cord, it was a 2-episode premiere, it brought in just 2.6 million. So it briefly held the record before The Devil's Cord aired as the most least viewed episode. Before that, Battlefield Part 1, back in 1989, held the record with 3.1 million viewers. So this series has set the record for each of its first 3 episodes for having the least viewed episode of all time when it comes to Doctor Who. So this is great. This is great news. The more people not watching this show is great. That means less people are exposed to the absolutely evil propaganda that this show is pushing. And indeed it is. I saw a clip from this most recent episode basically saying that if you have faith, you don't understand. You can't have you don't understand reason. You can't have reason. This is utterly ridiculous. This is over here at Catholic Answers. Jimmy Aiken, Catholic apologist, kind of explaining this. He says, faith and reason are like 2 wings on which the human spirit rises. He's quoting that to the contemplation of truth. From the perspective of faith, reason is a gift from God. He gave us intellects and he expects us to use them. There is thus no opposition between faith and reason. Both have a role to play. Certain questions in life can be investigated by reason without invoking the tenets of faith. For example, various truths of mathematics and science. However, no human is capable of personally verifying everything within the sphere of human knowledge. It exceeds the capacity of anyone to do this. And so every person must rely on others for some of the things he knows. He exhibits a form of faith in what others have learned. Further, even when one does personally verify something, an element of faith is present. This is why the findings of the sciences are always provisional. Although the hypothesis that electrons exist may explain many observations and may be accepted as a certainty by scientists who study the structure of the atom, there is always a gap between the observational evidence and the hypothesis proposed to explain it. Scientists make a leap of faith when they accept a particular hypothesis as the likely explanation of the data. It's exactly right. Even when you are looking at doing the scientific method, there is a form of faith there. It says, thus, even in the fields most associated with reason, we see a form of faith in play. We see faith and reason collaborating together in a fruitful manner. The Christian claim is that the same dynamic applies to the field of religion. Reason is capable of establishing certain foundational matters, such as the existence of God. It's referring to St. Thomas Aquinas's proofs. It also is capable of discovering and evaluating evidence of his activity in the world. When these evidences are examined, they point to the proposition that God has revealed himself to man in the person of Jesus Christ. Reason provides evidence supporting the Christian faith, like it supplies evidence for scientific proposals. There is no opposition between faith and reason. They work together to enhance the scope of human knowledge. And this Doctor Who episode is clearly trying to claim that is the opposite. They have people dressed up as priests in like war gear, and the doctor comes in and starts lecturing them about people just solely having faith is ludicrous. So just evil stuff here from the show. And that's not the only thing that this show is doing. Obviously, they have Russell T Davies here. I said all kinds of like disgusting stuff. You have this Jinx Monsoon person telling Slate here that people have issues To the people who have issues with to the people who have issues, the show that you love was created by a queer person. Get over it. A lot of people are going to really love this, and I think this season is going to create a lot of new Doctor Who fans. And if we lose some of the transphobic ones, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Clearly, it's not creating any new fans. It is losing en masse tons of people, which is good. This is good. This is a good thing. Now, it might be sad that Doctor Who is no longer what it used to be, and that thing is something that is sad, and it's a shame. But it is a good thing that people are not watching this disgusting propaganda that this person right here, this drag queen, is saying it is. It's saying this person is saying that it is a queer trans push propaganda in the show. Monsoon added, there's a lot of toxicity around the gender and the trans conversation. In the 70s, it was the conversation of queerness, the gay conversation. We overcame it once and we'll overcome it again. To the people who are upset about it, boo-hoo, cry your effing tears. It's not your world exclusively. We all live here, so get over yourself. I know a lot of people might not even watch this season of Doctor Who because it's taking such a decisively queer step. However, if they watch it, I think they'll see that we're just actors playing characters. And if they don't watch it, then who needs them? I truly believe that for every fan we lose to transphobia, we're going to have 2 to 3 more coming in because they're excited for trans representation. Obviously, that is not the case. They are losing hundreds of thousands of viewers every single episode. We saw 2.6 to 2.4. That's a 200,000 person decline. Now 2.4 to 2.04, nearly 400,000. And even if you want to go back to the specials, I think when Shooty had his debut, it was like 4.7. So 4.7 to 2.6, that is over 2 million people. So they are not getting any new people, and certainly not at a 2x or 3x quantifier there. So on top of this, we have Russell T Davies admitting that this is what he is injecting into the show. He is injecting this kind of gay propaganda. And he's putting his own personal and disordered sexual activities into it. He told this to Collider. He said he was asked about including queer themes in the show, and he said, to be absolutely honest, it's almost not that deliberate. That's the life that I lead, and I've been doing this. I wrote a series called Queer as Folk in 1999 that broke down many barriers, and I'm never going to step back from that. And in fairness, no one's ever asked me to step back from that. And I just think it doesn't even feel particularly queer to me. It just feels natural. It's 2024, and we're all embracing this. Twitter might kick, and in dark little corners, people might argue, but that's not the real world. The real world is one of acceptance and with battles to be fought and votes to be gained. I'm not naive to the problems that exist, but God, it's a more welcoming world in schools. We now have people who can come out in schools and be happy and thrive, which when I was that age was literally impossible. So that's got to be a better world. So I simply write quite naturally. I don't think about it that much. That is my world, and I'm trusted by my bosses to put my world and to put my writing on screen. So I confidently do. It's absolutely sick and disgusting. It's clearly talking about praising young children, embracing this ideology, talking about them being in schools. And obviously, he's also completely wrong. It is not natural. Homosexuality is not natural. Transgenderism is not natural. They are disordered behaviors. The Catechism of the Catholic Church is clear on this, basing itself on sacred scripture, which presents homosexual acts as acts of grave depravity. Tradition has always declared that homosexual acts are intrinsically disordered. They are contrary to the natural law. They are not natural. They close the sexual act to the gift of life. They do not proceed from a genuine affective and sexual complementarity. Under no circumstances can they be approved. It is not natural. Homosexual acts are not natural. They are intrinsically disordered. They are contrary to the natural law. So this isn't the first time that Davies has said these absolutely disgusting comments. You had this from Variety's Elise Schaefer. She reported this. There's the criticism that Doctor Who is a show that appeals to children, and then a queer actor playing the Doctor will reach more kids than ever with its new home on Disney Plus, which is a disturbing idea to homophobes. Davies sees the show's wider reach as an opportunity to open people's minds. I mean, just sick and disgusting. Even the way she's Elise Schaefer is kind of talking about this, like, oh, people that don't want children exposed to homosexuality, they're just homophobes. It's just, how can you? Oh, it's so bad. It's like, no, these people are grooming these children and trying to destroy them, trying to lie to them. And even we see this here. Davies is saying, oh, it's just so natural. And it's not. This is absolutely destructive. It is physically destructive. How many diseases affect people that engage in these activities? I mean, almost too many to count, and they are lethal diseases in many cases. And that's just the physical aspect. Obviously, there is the emotional and spiritual aspects as well. And then you listen to a lot of these people who kind of have said no to this and have kind of adopted a chaste lifestyle. They admit that they were abused. Many of them admit that they were abused. And it's just absolutely sick that people are trying to get uh, more and more of these children involved in these evil, disordered lifestyles. And this is exactly what Davies wants. Like, look at this right here. This is how this is what he told Elise Schaefer. He says, I think if you're 6 years old, you don't care, not at all. But nonetheless, as the world darkens, and I do think the world is darkening around queer rights, there is a joy and a celebration, and there's a community. There is no joy. There is no celebration in any of this stuff. It is wrong. It is immoral. And he goes on and says, whether you're 12 years old and just beginning to work out who you are, 62 years old and you've never been who you are, or 61 years old like I am and beginning to worry about where we are in society, there is a hero out there cutting his way through the universe, looking good in his suits and doing it with a laugh and a smile. So he's literally trying to use Doctor Who as a way to show, like, oh, this is such a great way to live your life. You should be living your life just like the doctor does in Doctor Who. Absolutely not. It is vile. It is evil. And that is why it is good that viewership is declining, because this is what they're trying to do. They are literally using this show to try and indoctrinate children as young as 6 years old into these disordered, evil lifestyles. So I'm glad people are tuning out at the rate they are. I hope that the rate actually increases. I hope we get this show where it's immediately canceled, where the ratings are so bad, no one's watching the show, that they end up canceling it and they don't even air the rest of this absolutely sick and evil propaganda. But those are kind of my thoughts on this. Let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable to each other, but to always speak the truth.